Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Empowered Teams podcast. I'm Eric, and I'm here with
Toby, and I would like to introduce a good friend of mine and somebody I think is going to add some real value to the conversation this morning, Stefan. And before we get into the subject, I'll let him introduce himself. He just asked whether he was going to do the long version or the short version. We'll have to vote short version.
So in short version, my name is Stéphane Amarsy. I was the CEO of a previous company dedicated to artificial intelligence for marketing. And I did a merger with another company 2 years ago because we have to go to a new story with an industrial point of view. And I decided to leave my company because I would like to go to do something different. And this thing different is totally dedicated to the future, to help organization to understand, to go deeper and deeper in the future without fears. And I think that it's a short version.
So that's a short. So I think that so Stefan is a partner of ours. We're a partner of his. He does something very interesting. He takes his AI background and his awareness, because what he misses out in the short version is actually he changed the direction of his company because he did some research on the impact of AI. It changed his thinking. I mean, we basically saw that he didn't have a job in 5 years. So he reinvented his business, and he takes that process of reinvention and he's turned it into a one-day workshop and some other products. Where we fit in with him is he uses a French term, dépaysement, which means to get out of your comfort zone. And to get out of your comfort zone, he uses Sunk as a way of getting teams to actually face up to a lack of skills and an inability to deal with disruption. We try to do it very nicely in doing that, but it's a bit of a wake-up call. So one of the sort of subject that we want to talk about today is surviving in a world of disruption. Let's put this into some context. What we recognize now is that there is a revolution taking across the board in a number of domains. And I'm going to try and keep this short. This shouldn't be news to some people, but it needs revisiting in terms of the problematic that we're going to talk about today. And we're talking about scientific, we're talking about technical, and we're talking about digital revolutions. All right. Where are they hitting? Well, what they're actually hitting is every area of life. There isn't an area of life, whether it's social or educational or politics or war or whatever area you want to talk about, that this doesn't affect. Now, what effect does it have? Well, actually, it's speeding up everything. Everything is becoming at the speed of light, and it's becoming more complex. And therefore, what we recognize in the way that these technologies, and I'm using the broad word technologies, are impacting our world is they are significantly changing the functions and jobs that we now have and are going to experience in the next 5 years. Interestingly, Stefan just did a one-day workshop with a French bank. And their question that they were trying to address was, what skills are we going to need to have in 10 years' time? I think Stefan was getting to try to understand more like what skills you're going to need in 2 years' time, never mind 10 years' time, you know? So that's the kind of problematic that we're talking about. All right, Eric, Stefan, do you want to riff on that? Do you want to say something to that incredibly profound statement that I've just made there?
What an introduction. How can we follow up on that?
So are you going to do it in the podcast now?
Yeah, let's press the button. No.
So you can see these guys are struggling for words after that.
I can just add 2 comments. You're right when you said that I used my previous experience to create this workshop in one day. Because in 2016, I had a successful company, and I realized that regarding artificial intelligence, the future will be totally different. And I did a specific work to imagine several futures. And the main point in each futures that I imagine is that my work, the business of my company will disappear. I didn't know if it will be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but I was sure about that. And regarding this fact, I decided to be an actor of the metamorphosis of the business. And I did some fundraising campaign in order to develop a big research and development team, and with an idea about the future of marketing for me. And it's totally different because when you speak about the impact of artificial intelligence on a job, I had this experience with my team. Just to give an example, I had 40 data scientists, and that they did in 1 week in 2016. In 2019, it can be done in few minutes by an artificial intelligence and with better results than a human. Yeah. It means that the job of data scientists in my team, of course, had totally changed. Yeah. And it's exactly the same thing for a lot of jobs today with the new level of artificial intelligence, and in the future, month after month, years after years, this impact will be bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, go on.
No, go. Well, no. I was just going to say, I think that this is something that, people are starting to realize this, and they're starting to understand the impact that artificial intelligence and, in general, all forms of large language models and the different shapes that they're taking we're at the precipice of some sort of a massive change that's going to be possibly to a similar scale than what we saw with like the arrival of the internet or, the arrival of automation and robotics on factory floors and that sort of stuff. It's something that's going to shift the jobs in lots of fields from being in pure production, where you are the only way to get something done, to being jobs of managing something and monitoring and sort of guiding a tool that can do it better than you could and faster than you could, right?
And it's just a point. I just want to add a point. Here, you consider that human at the end have the power because you say that human has to manage a tool. For me, this time is finished. Yeah. Yes, this time is finished because now with a lot of different systems and the system that I created, the human doesn't manage the system. The system is autonomous, and the human has to focus on new tasks, and this new task is really better for human for me because if you can automatize something, there is no value for a human. But it's really difficult for someone to change. For example, imagine that I just come to see you and say, Eric, good news, I can automatize 80% of your job. It's not really good news for you. Yeah. Because it means that you have to change a lot. And you can be afraid about that. Yeah. And the main point regarding this potential change in the future is not to wait the change. We have to manage the change. We have to be focused on the potential futures that we can reach. And my module, for example, is it's better to deal with change before it deals with you. And it's exactly that I try to provide in the different experiences that I propose.
So
Okay.
if we look at, we sort of like trying to encapsulate what we're saying, you know, if I was putting into Sank language, is that the majority of the jobs that are out there that are hard skills, expert type skills, and then we're saying Eric's job, but legal jobs, we're talking marketing jobs, we're talking quite a lot of scientific jobs, where, because somehow there seems to have been this view that AI is only going to affect the service industry, and police. What nobody's woken up to the fact, really, is that the majority of board level members won't be required either in a corporate organization for the skill sets that they bring. It's like, you're going to see AI robots sitting there, and one person is the CEO going, "Hey guys, what are you going to tell me to do now?"
Yeah.
I know
Exactly.
I'm being crass, but it's kind of, they haven't woken up to that. I mean, when we work with accountants now, you get an app.
Yeah.
10 years ago, you didn't get an app. You got somebody going through all the receipts. Now you just give it to the app. You choose an account. Now it's your best app. Which one's the best app? And who's had traffic controlling your accounts? So I think there's something that says there's both a threat and a big change. That's disruption. But and you can start crying, and you can go to bed and pull the sheets over your head. Or you can say, this is an opportunity. What are the new skills that we're going to need? Because what the corollary of the old skills to the new skills is, in our view, is that you're moving from hierarchy to teams. And the essence of a team, which is soft skills, leadership, creativity, collaboration, communication, problem solving, these are the real skills that you're going to need, that so far are the skills to help direct your relationship with the new technologies. And in fact, create new technologies upon new technologies to create new solutions. Would that be about the right direction that we're talking about, Stefan, there?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And regarding the experience that you mentioned before with the bank, it's exactly the question that they have. How we can define, perhaps it's impossible, but is it possible to define the role of human in 10 years in a bank?
Right.
And it was really, really good to do this exercise. But one more time, if you want to think about something like that, it's really important to abandon a lot of things, a lot of beliefs, a lot of idea that you can have, because you have to look the future with virgin eyes, with nothing. Because it's, one more time, and you said that, it's really, really stressed to see that, to think about the future of the job.
It's terrifying.
But, yes, and it's the case also as a citizen. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
That with a citizen, you have to deal more globally. In your job, it's you. It's your job is the role that you have, and the role that you have in the society. It's something really difficult.
It's almost like you're having to face the reality that everything you think you know and everything you currently are able to do might disappear. And so, you have to force yourself to be so flexible that you'll be able to adapt to pretty much anything, because we know things are going to go, they're going to shift in completely crazy ways at very, very fast speeds, and that they already are in some cases.
Yeah.
I think there's, I think coming back to your experience though, Stefan, was, and our experience of working with clients is that they're frightened a lot of the time. And in that fear, uncertainty and doubt, negative emotions are what trap them. You've got fear of the future, right? And you've got fear of yourself, like
Yes, of course.
in French, soi-même. Fear in the sense that I'm not good enough. Fear in the sense that everything that I know is changing so fast and so quick that I'll never be able to fit into something new. And I think it's exacerbated, made worse by the mass media, by the press, in particular with the scare stories from the guy from Google who's the founder of AI, and he left and wish he hadn't left, and maybe he's going to make a movie now, to Elon Musk, who's like, yeah, everybody needs to slow down to give me time for my companies to catch up.
Yes.
Everybody slow down because I'm just getting a patent on my other innovations.
I am late. Wait me, I am late.
Yeah, but you guys slow down so I can catch up. Oh, I'm ahead, so, To the UK's still looking at whether it brings in restrictions and I mean, I hate to tell these people, but the horse is bolted. The horse has gone out the stable doors and it's gone. Yeah. And as much as you're going to try and bring some form of regulation in, there's always two sides, which we see now. There is a kosher side to the web and there's a dark side of the web. And I guarantee you, on the dark side of the web, you can forget it. It's gone.
And not just that, even on the front side of things. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember seeing a sort of a chart of all the sort of big disruptive online companies and their sort of speed of growth. So Google took, I don't know how many years to reach, the massive scale it's reached with its search engine. If you go then to like Facebook, it took, half as long. I think Instagram took half again as long, and TikTok took half as long as that. And then, ChatGPT from OpenAI took a tenth of that time to reach, I don't know how many tens of millions of users. We're faced with something that's not just being adopted at a massive scale. It's being adopted at such a speed. It's too late. You can't really compete at this point without creating a new sector, right? That vertical is taken. They've got it now. And
yes, you're right. But what I can see in a lot of companies is true that you have a lot of people that they adopt, for example, ChatGPT, but just with a low usage, a very low usage, and my point of view is they use with a very low level because they are afraid.
That's interesting.
It's just for that.
And when we mean low usage, what we mean is, like, do my daughter's essay for me, or not, as the case may be. It doesn't. It's like we use ChatGPT now, and the fact that it's got plugins now, right? Plugins, and it's linked via Bing, So we use it all the time in everything that we do, and realize, I just wrote an article about it, but I have a colleague in Australia, and he put a picture up, I think from the 60s. When teachers were protesting, right, in Melbourne or Sydney or something, about the use of calculators in the classroom. I think it's
I use this picture in my newsletter.
I mean, it's like, dudes, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the telephone, it's the computer, it's the mobile,
For me, it's not really the same thing, Toby. It's not really the same thing because artificial intelligence can be more than a tool.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. What I meant, what the similarity is the resistance.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, not the tool is a different thing altogether. But instead of understanding what's in front of you, Instead of being able to use your imagination about how this tool can be an asset, the almost instinctive reaction of people is to block it, because their comfort zone is so threatened. Like you were talking about fear. I'm generalizing here. I'm spitballing. It's not specific, but it's a bit like I really liked what you talked about when you were talking about the one-day workshop, and the team didn't achieve their objectives at the end.
No.
And when do you want to explain why they didn't achieve their objectives?
Yes, it was really, really interesting because the question was really clear. The mission is to imagine the human skills that we need in a bank in 10 years. And I think that unconsciously, they try to answer to another question. How can the bank be successful in 10 years? And in this question, you have a part for it, of course, but not just the human. They also spoke about the product, about the market, about the organization, but not really about humans, or just to say, we need to identify the place of human, the border between artificial intelligence and human. We have to be trained continuously in order to be efficient. The new task that we have to achieve. It's just with a continuity of the job. It's not really with a breakdown regarding the market and the needs that they have. And at the end, in the debrief, I say to them, did you realize that you didn't answer to the question? And when I asked this question, they realized that it's clear they didn't answer to the question. Mm-hmm. And when I said why, 2 or 3 of them, really courageous, said, we think that we are too afraid.
Yeah.
That is courageous to admit that.
Yeah.
Really courageous. And I explained that if you are able to say that, you are able to start to your metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, what you're describing there was their reaction was sort of this classic mindset of looking for incremental change, looking to stay in your comfort zone and sort of to keep going in the same direction and just sort of slightly adjust your course. When clearly, at the same time, they seemed to be conscious that there was a need for total disruption and a big shift. So there's this almost cognitive dissonance in what you're describing. And the fact that they noticed it at the end was that, that was them coming to realization with that dissonance, I think.
Yeah, but it's really, really difficult because look at the school, for example. What the children or students are, what type of lessons or that they have to do. It's never about the present or the future. It's always about the past.
Yep.
And we are an area with a lot of change, and day after day, the number of change will increase. And we are teaching about the past.
Yep.
Okay. I know that it's really important to speak about the past because you can have a lot of experience from the past, but you have also to speak about the future and the behavior, the type of tools that you can have, how you can manage the knowledge, how you can manage the access to the knowledge, because now it's a question of access to the knowledge, for example. Mm-hmm. And it's totally different. And you have a big gap between the society today, and it's in all countries like that. All countries are exactly the same problem, and the reality of the society in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah,
there is a big gap, and I don't know how we can decrease the size of the gap. it's really difficult. I think that because it's not in our hands, it's the hands of the politics, it's the hands of a lot of people, but the decider don't know anything about artificial intelligence, about different technical or societal breakdowns that we can have in the future. Every deciders are focused. All deciders are focused on prediction about economics, prediction about offers, prediction about demands, prediction about all. But we know now that all prediction will be false. So you build strategy, you take strategic decision, and you know that your prediction will be false. It's totally amazing when you think about that. I think, and I propose also that in my different experience to think differently. The question for me is not to try to predict the future, because it's totally impossible. The question is to identify what you have to do in order to be efficient with all futures. It's totally different. And I think that, for example, regarding the job of someone in 5 or 10 years, it's exactly the same thing. If you try, for example, to be the best data scientist now, in 5 years, it's finished. Right, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you try to be someone with a high capability to adapt, to learn some new skills, soft or hard skills, it depends on your talents, of course. But if you are ready to learn and adapt yourself every time, you win. It's clear. But it means that your mindset is totally different.
But I think, building on what you just said, if you don't mind, I think they even talk about adaptability quotient, adaptability intelligence now. And what you're saying is nothing is fixed. So what you have to do is that, so that when we use the word soft skills, which has been rebranded power skills in the United States, but that what most people fail to understand is that when we talk about soft skills, what we're talking about is the development of skilled awareness versus unskilled awareness, right? Because our inability to adapt is what a hierarchical organization is about, because only the few make a decision. The organization itself has no ability to adapt. What we're talking about here, as you move from hierarchy to teams, is the single key component is you have to be able to deal with change. And if you're going to deal with change, that means that your radar of self-awareness and self-control has to be at its highest level. What we have when we talk about education and we talk about decision makers is this is an IQ-driven establishment based on exams. Passing exams is not going to help you in this new environment. In fact, it's likely to be a big indicator you're going to fail. Yeah. That's something that if you look in, particularly in the French system, that's catastrophic for all of the schools and the businesses and the stuff that we're like, the exam system's no good for the future. No, it's you need to rethink it, And the militaries had to face this, that hierarchical organizations and everybody getting to the top is over. You need specialized teams who can adapt to the situation. And moreover, they can utilize technology. They are friendly with technology. And one of the issues that you have that you just described, for example, is in education. So the calculator example is, we can't deal with this because our education is pure. We have colleagues and partners who are involved in education at high level and low level. One of the things that they're trying to do is, well, how can we use ChatGPT? How can we teach students to use it, not police whether they're using it? How can we make their skill sets better at using these technologies rather than, police sign, you can't use this. This is bad for you. You'll never be intelligent. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I want just to add something. For me, technology is a part of a team. It's not a tool, it's a part of a team. And it's something really interesting for the manager, because tomorrow the manager has to manage human and technology. And for example, if you want to give some objective to human, you have also to give some objective to the team. It means that you have also to give objective to the technology.
No, but I really like the way you say that. I really like
it's a new way of management, of course. And as you mentioned, I totally agree. A role, for me, it's finished to have a role. The question is to be able to change every day or several times per day your role regarding the problem that you have to solve, regarding the objective that you have to reach. But it's totally different.
I think if we take that, there's one thing that's really interesting. If you look at the world of coaching, right? Typically, one of the things you'll see is there's a pretty big focus on making sure that people have the soft skills that enable them to work better with other humans, right? There's those, interpersonal skills, being able to, handle your emotions and share information in better ways. We're going to have to start building the same skill set with collaborating with technology. That's what we're talking about, right? It's the same type of skills you have to use to collaborate with humans. You're going to have equivalents, or sometimes the exact same skills, used to collaborate with technology. As in, building team structures, team strategies, like you were saying, that involve technology as a team member. So,
But isn't that what Sank does, Eric?
Yeah.
One of the things when people come to play Sank, and I think why Stefan likes it, is their level of ignorance about just getting onto a 3D immersive simulation is shocking.
Yeah.
We've got people that could just about use a mouse and keyboard, never mind going in a 3D environment.
Yeah.
They're having a heart attack.
And
how can you be having a heart attack in the 21st century about a video game?
And even once you're dealing with teams who have some level of technology, literacy, even post-COVID, you have people who will be, on a Meet or Teams or whatever meeting, playing the game all together at a distance. They won't think about sharing their screen. They won't think about sending screenshots. The tools that they should be mastering at a high level at this point, after multiple years of doing this, are not really in their vocabulary.
Yeah, but you're right, but it's totally different for me, because during the COVID, for example, if you play something, it's exactly the same thing with your mobile. You master the usage of your mobile. It's not a question. Here we are speaking about your image as a professional. It's totally different. The impact of the health of everyone around you is totally different. And it's the point that for me, the difficulty of the change regarding workers comes from this point, the image that your job provides to society.
Could you expand on that a bit? So,
for example, today, everybody is okay to explain that they are using this system of GPS or not. It's not a question. But you don't. Some people like me are able to read a map, a mountain map, for example. But now, time after time, it disappears. Okay, and using a GPS, it's totally normal. Okay. And you have the same thing, for example, with some recommendation engine regarding music, regarding film, movies, regarding a lot of things. But it's clearly difficult to use exactly the same tools in the job. Why?
Yeah.
It's the same tools.
Yeah, so
it's difficult.
There's a barrier. What we're talking about is the transfer of skills is a barrier. Like It's like, for example, you go home and you have more high-tech gear in your games room and with your kids than you do with your, I was going to say in French, machine à écrit, your network typewriter, which is what they give you at work, in essence. Okay, that's so.
Clear.
What we're talking about is a not just it's a thinking about technology gap as well. You know, one of the things that. Yeah, sorry, go on. No, go.
Yes, but not just that, because for example, I saw that in my experience, not now, but my previous experience in my company when I decided to change all. For example, for a data scientist, imagine that you come, it's a star. A data scientist was a star. Is always a star today, but 5 years ago, he or she was really a star. And you come a day and you say, you did a real good job. But now, your really good job, can be done in 2 minutes and better than you. It's really, really violent. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this case, it's really difficult because I speak about 100% of a job. But imagine that it's just 25 or 20 or 25% of a job, as you can read a lot of articles about ChatGPT can take, in average, 18% of a job. Okay. But 18% of a job, it's really big.
Yeah.
It's massive.
It's massive. So
particularly if that 18% is very influential, you know, in your 80-20.
Exactly. And I'm sure that it's underestimate this 18%. But it just means that if you don't have to do this 20% of your job, what I have to do? It means that I am in a difficult situation. I have to change. But I change for what? What can I do? And if they don't have an answer to this question, and it's the role of a company, it's the role of a manager to identify the answer to these questions. This question is totally normal. But the manager doesn't have an answer to this question today. And it's exactly the same thing for a CEO or for a human resource chief. It's exactly the same thing. They don't have answer to this question.
No.
One of the, just very briefly, I think one of the things that's going to happen is that the answers to these questions are not necessarily going to come from the top, from the managers and the CEOs. They're going to come from individuals who, through actions, build new ways of working and ways of doing things, and find what to do with, what to do about those 20 or 30 or 40% at an individual scale, and sort of lead by example, probably.
I think it's even worse.
I think that, Eric, you are a fan of Darwin, no?
Well, it's also because I do some development work, so coding, and it's one of the places where large language model AIs are having the biggest impact short term. So there's lots of discussions that I've been looking at of people sort of, already revolutionizing the way things are done at a very small scale, much more so than the big companies are. It's happening right now.
Yeah, but I disagree with you on this point, because for me it's a question of an individual question, of course, but just to think that the answer can be done individually, for me it's just a dream.
No.
Real.
The ideas will come at that scale, but the implementation will be at a larger scale, and it will involve different mindsets.
Because a lot of countries, a lot of fields, it's really vertical. So it means that during now for a long time, everybody it's usual for everybody to wait a decision to have the North Star, and you can't just change that in 1 second. It's totally impossible. Totally possible. So
Well, I
it's
think
normal that you have 20% of the people that they are able to change by ourselves, do the job for that, discover, try, and so on, so on, so on. Okay, it's okay. But for 80% of people, it's totally impossible to think about that. So you have also to, as a country, for humanity, not just for a country, you have to think globally and try to identify some ways, some good ways for everybody. It's my point of view.
I think it's a good point of view. I think it's I think this ability to change, what Deloitte and others call change agility, is something that's missing in action. I think that we see some big corporations that start to put soft skills on the training agenda, but the way that they actually put it on shows that they misunderstand it. I think there's going to be, to quote the Darwin thing, I think there's going to be some evolution taking place in terms of the education requirements for people to survive in companies. I think it's almost like hierarchical military organizations that have to pass orders up and down hierarchy versus specialized elite units moving in teams and communicating and using technology. Technology is the center of the change, right? It is both the enabler and it is the result of what you're creating. It allows you to move, but it also creates results as well in terms of what you're doing. Listen, Stefan, we're now reaching the end. I want to say thank you very much for coming on. This will not be your last podcast with us. I'd like to choose some other subjects also for our French colleagues and friends out there. Stefan will be doing a French one, which you probably feel much more comfortable in. Thank you very much for being very courageous and adventurous to do this in English with us. So I'd like to say goodbye from Eric, from Stefan, from myself. And if you guys really like what we're doing, then please press the like button, and please press subscribe as well. Thank you very much. See you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.